21st century man from his perspective.
Dear viewer, welcome to the show, the 21st century man from his perspective. Here we want to confidently talk about the confidence of this man. You see, there are so many things that you can say about a man, but we need a confident man in any place in this life. That is what we have for you today.
Are you that man? 21st century man from his perspective.
With me on the show are my two wonderful friends. I have my confidant, Dave Riaga, and my friend, Pastor Solomon Ogutu. We are going to be with you for the next few minutes as we unpackage the man, the 21st century man. In the meantime, let's get to the streets and hear what they have to talk about the 21st century man.
I find that most men, their ego has been suppressed and they try to keep into themselves, which lead to them committing suicide or behaving otherwise. So it is encouraging that parents of today should encourage their children or boy children.
As the ego of man in the society of the 21st century is that when a man is so much pressed to the wall, they'll decide to do two things. Either to hit back or to go down missing. And therefore, all men should be encouraged and counseled so that they should not do any other thing that make them miss the heaven.
21st century man from his perspective.
As is the norm of the show, we get from the streets, we hear what they have to say, but I need to hear what you have to say.
Back to the table.
Back to the table, what do you have to say? We are dealing with confidence. When I talk confidence, what comes to your mind? Because you know there's such a thing as self-esteem. There's such a thing, and this has been made so fragile. I don't know why people make it fragile, but they make it look like, don't joke with a man's ego. What is this in a man?
Chief, a man, ego is what makes a man.
Ego, wow.
What makes a man?
You make a statement until I feel like ending it at this point. Ego is what makes a man.
Yes.
Did you just hear that? How?
Well, there are very many aspects to this, what makes a man. Apart from the biological fact that you were born a boy, became a teenager, and now you're a man, there are other aspects that make this man, because the societal thinking is that a man should be the one to provide. Provision here can be security, physical security. A simple illustration is someone has to go and lock the gate at night. The man is expected to go and do that. Another simple illustration is the man is supposed to lead the family into prayer. The man is the high priest. He's supposed to be doing that. The other one, though this is a bit debatable, the man is supposed to provide food for the family. The man is supposed to provide the emotional support of the family. That is what makes a man. I may
That
not
is
be
what
able
makes
to
a
talk
man.
about the others, but I believe those are the major aspects of what makes a man.
To a large extent, it is believed that when you have a small ego, you feel insecure. When you have a bloated ego, you are becoming arrogant. Where is the balance? Because he says ego is what makes a man. But now, where is the balance? We don't want men who are insecure, but we don't want arrogant men on the table. We want confident men.
A psychologist known as Sigmund Freud is the one who came with what we call the psychoanalytic theory. When you look at it, he brought in three things.
Yes.
That is the id, which talks about the instinct, the ego, which talks about the reality, and the super-ego, which talks about the morality. When you look at the id itself, it is what brings the sexual urge in an individual. It is what makes somebody to go to the extreme. But what mediates, let me use the word mediate, what mediates between the id and the super-ego is what we call now the ego in between here, because it faces reality. Now there's a problem. When a man has it and it is provoked, now we come to what I was talking about.
Are you saying that this ego is but what feeds the ego? Are we trying to say that this ego is something that is fed, but it's something that can be provoked? It's something that can be injured? By the way, when a man is told by a lady that you're not manly enough, what is that? What is that? A lady just tells you that I've met men, but you're not a man.
That is, in fact, I wrote it down. That is one of the statements that can kill a man. Obviously, not even can kill a man. That is one of the statements that will just kill a man.
A man.
Biologically, I know that I'm a man. Then you're telling me you're not a man. Then something is wrong somewhere.
There's no argument, but the statement itself has injured the man.
Probably. Look at it again on the flip side. There is a reason why this lady has told me, be a man, or you're not a man. There is an expectation. There's something she expects of me, or there is a way that she expects me to behave, or talk, or run around, that I'm not doing. And that is why that statement comes.
I don't want to take you far into the show to be able to just say a point you can say right now. How can a lady be able to tell a man or correct a man? Because it seems like if you tell a man, you are foolish. You've just injured the man.
I will just give you a straight and direct answer, softly and tenderly.
Jesus is called. do it the Jesus way.
Exactly.
Be tactful as you present it to him. And is there something that can feed a male ego? But do you think when a man is seated somewhere and people think he can't do something, and then you just tell this man, I think you can do it?
But even before that, Andrew, maybe we could begin with baby steps. I like your shirt.
Thanks.
It feels nice, right?
That feels nice.
I like that suit. It feels nice. And it is even better when someone close to you tells you that. Especially your wife tells you, this one is good, I like it. You walk out confidently. I mean, your ego has been massaged well. You feel nice. It doesn't matter what now my good friend pastor here will tell me, because he has never appreciated anything that I have. But that doesn't matter. As long as my wife tells me, or someone close to you me tells me,
statement
this is nice.
That whoever makes this statement can injure or feed the ego positively.
Exactly.
And how do we avoid then? In fact, before I go to how do we avoid, there's something you want to say about it.
Remember, I brought in three things. I brought in id, I brought in ego and super-ego.
Yes.
And id, I say that it deals with the instinct. The ideas of the sexual urge, those kind of devilish things somebody might be having, those negative things somebody might be having, when they are massaged, when they are influenced by the environment, when they are treated well in the environment, they graduate and become what we call ego. I don't know what you've heard him say. He has told you that you have a nice shirt.
Yes.
Which means the environment has proved to you that what you are putting on, as much as Solomon will see it as though it is bad, as much as your wife saw, as much as Dave saw it that it is bad, but the environment where you wake up from every morning has acknowledged that it is good. which means it is something which has been massaged within yourself. So you walk around not because Dave spoke, not because Solomon spoke, but the confidence is enriched because the environment, which is the immediate one, spoke.
This ego thing is becoming a thing that is very powerful. It's almost sounding like if you leave the house and you are told like you are the real man, that day you will be out to prove that here is a real man walking.
So ego is the engine of a man.
Exactly. Now, two instances. You leave the house, you are told you are a real man.
You will bring things.
You reach the office,
Yes.
you are told you are useless. Where do you fall? Which is going to affect which? Because your immediate environment, which is home, has told you are a real man. Now, where you are supposed to report to respond about what you are told at home that you're real, you are told you are useless.
Let me ask you what the three aspects that you talked about,
Yes.
because I think the last aspect is super what? Super
So
ego.
the super ego,
That
which
brings
links with
in
morality.
morality.
Yes.
And at that point, it depends on you. Which one are you going to pick? Because at the end of the day, he said ego is fed.
Yes.
Ego is fed by the id. I'm learning.
Yes.
Is fed. So at that point that someone is giving a positive statement and the other one is giving a negative statement, I've just said that ego is the engine of a man. If you want to drive a car from here to maybe 600 kilometers away in Mombasa, then you have to make sure that you have a perfect engine, right?
True, true.
You not drive a car that has been stalled for several months thinking that it will take you there. That is now the different bit. So what is fed to this engine, whether positive or negative, that is what drives it. That becomes you. Yes.
In fact, I think practicality will put us in a good place when you're talking about ego. Because you're seated here, I'm seated here, and these things have happened. I've come to even conclude, I'm a preacher, but I've come to conclude that if my wife thinks that the sermon was good, I'm even excited to prepare more sermons. If my wife thinks that it was a pathetic sermon, well, I don't know. You feel almost like you are empty. Yes, you may have done so much, but when he gives you feedback and says, I think today you are too quick, you are not clear, you are too ambiguous, and you know, that is just a comment. But there's something in the power of the tongue
Yes.
when you're dealing with with a man.
Exactly.
This power of the tongue, positively used, strengthens.
Yes.
Negatively used, can
Kills.
destroy thoroughly.
Completely.
And it goes even for the 21st century man who is contemplating marriage and may not be getting these beautiful words that sometimes our wives tell us. The people around them, the people you look up to,
Yes.
someone you hold in high esteem tells you something positive, that's it. Someone tells you something negative, that's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your wife.
True, true.
But to any man who is told, I like the point when you say, what kind of a man are you? Or be a man. It excites a lot of questions that come into your mind.
Let me assist you. The moment you're walking and that woman at home tells you, be a man, you are not a man. It provokes the chaotic id in you. And what suppresses that chaotic feeling? What has this lady seen in me? What has this lady, is it that I'm not functional as a man? Is it that my biological components are not in place? What has she seen in me? So the thing which will quench that thirst is your ego, because it is the realistic bit of yourself. It is what defines who you are. And by the way, when we talk about it, it will add us to a certain word, which is called personality. That ego, when it is provoked, it builds personality.
Could I ask something? Self-esteem, where does
I'm
it come
coming
in?
to that. It builds personality. And that personality can again be injured when the esteem is lowered and the esteem is raised. Because the moment the esteem is lowered, your personality is killed as a result of the injury which was caused in the ego. By the time the personality is raised in terms of the esteem, which means even your personality can be felt, you can now work. This is a man. This is now the Solomon. Which means your ego in itself, that reasons, that one which is realistic, is functional to the top. And that is why you find most of the successful men, look at their personality, it is on top of the game. Look at their self-esteem, it is on top of the game.
My question would be, who raises and who lowers self-esteem?
That's it, the surrounding. The environment.
And are you then trying to say that this ego, the ego puts the 21st century man in a situation whereby his environment can easily define him?
It is very easy.
Can easily define him. In a pathetic environment, he may tend towards being pathetic.
Yes.
In a very positive environment, and don't you think, and I'm thinking this ego is almost looking like you are with people who are intelligent, you start feeling intelligent.
That's it.
You're with people who are foolish, all of a sudden, even your thought process
becomes low. But the thing is, as much as we deal with all these things which are biologically brought or modified within us, there's a superman who developed them, who is God himself.
God.
Talking about that, now connecting the two, you've just reminded me, in the book of Genesis chapter 6, the Bible says, describes the condition of the world.
Before we get to the condition of the world, because
Yes.
I want us to unpackage it well, let's just take a break as we look at this, because the condition of the world and the man's ego.
Exactly.
21st century man from his perspective. Hadithi inasimuliwa ya mtu ambaye aliwatesa Wakristo kwa motisha ya hali ya juu na baadaye akawa Mkristo kikweli. Mungu aliongoza mtu huyu kushiriki na kuandika kile ambacho wokovu unamaanisha hasa. Mfano, jinsi ya kukabiliana na shida, maadili ya Mkristo, kanisa la kweli, msamaha, tumaini kwa ulimwengu, kati ya mafundisho mengine kemkem. Huenda ukawa na maswali kuhusu mada mbalimbali anazoeleza katika Biblia. Tazama msimu huu mpya kabisa wa Jibu kwa Mashaka na ujifunze zaidi kutoka kwa Mtume Paulo, upate ufahamu. "21st century man from his perspective."
Thank you very much and welcome back. We are talking today on the 21st century man from his perspective. We are measuring on ego. And you see, when we're talking about ego, male ego, there are so many things that come into mind. But before we went for the break, we were talking about words are powerful. Words can say something. And I wanted also to reflect on just this word. Listen to this word that was said before he starts. The Bible says in the book of Matthew chapter 3 verses 17, "And lo, a voice from heaven saying, 'This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased.'" In fact, when you look at that, that is a statement that says, go forth. Show them that you are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. And I think as we talk about male ego, we need to get to the point of looking at it like a man is unique. A man is unique. In fact, when we start saying that you're better than him, or you are like this, it means it's comparison. And what does this do to the male ego?
There's a statement, or there's something that I was building before we took a break. And I was making reference to Genesis chapter 6.
Yes.
The story of Noah.
Noah.
You realize that the Bible is painting a very sorry, condition of the world.
Yes.
But in another verse, it says, but Noah found grace.
True.
So my point is, in as much as our environment may be toxic, in as much as the environment may not be offering anything good, but there is still this man that will be upright. This
The
man who will
21st
not-
century man
who
can
will-
stand in the
who
midst.
will not be influenced by the environment, who will not be wooed by what is going around. Can God find grace in the 21st century man? Who is not wavered by what culture and society dictates or
Okay,
suggests?
I don't know why you've got into cultures and societies. And as you go into cultures and societies,
Yes.
I'm almost even beginning to wonder. You know, when a man can't cook because of culture, what is that?
Come slowly, because I think there is
Somebody-
someone who cannot
somebody's about to point a finger. There are two things involved here.
Yes.
There's what we call perception and what we call desire.
Yes.
Ego deals with the two of them. Now that is where culture comes in.
Yes.
perception.
Perception. You go to your culture and you're told that a woman should not come and stand before a man to speak. So I come from home. Then a woman stands before me and starts,
A woman should not give you instructions.
how? How? And I never saw my mother stand before my father. It is a perception from my culture. From then, those days, those centuries, a woman comes in and sits on the floor. Men sit on the seat. The man ego demands for that. You cross the borders, you find places where the woman comes and greets the man, but goes down as though he's going to kneel.
But now holy men of God and holy women of God.
I'm coming to that.
Get to that. Get
I'm
to that.
coming to that.
Get to that.
The whole of this thing, they surround one simple word. I. You should come before me, the I factor, and talk to me slowly. I am a man. I am a man. The word I stands before the glory of man, of God. The moment the I stands before God, it longs to raise itself and diminish the glory of God.
You are making me look at it that when we started and you're saying ego is a good thing, but when you overfeed it with a lot of I,
It diminishes the
Edges
glory of God.
God out. And that is where now ego comes in. Is edge.
E is edge.
G is God.
God
O is
out.
out. Edging
So
God out.
when you get to a level where it is overfed, you edge God out. And,
Yes.
and you see the first I character was Lucifer.
Yes.
Lucifer says, I will set myself,
Ego is now playing.
I will
The
ascend
ego is
above.
playing.
I
Perception
will-
and the desire. In that case, the desire was taking center stage. The desire. I will. That is the desire. He wants to go above. I will. I will. The
In
ego
fact-
is being raised.
Could it be that what we are saying is, while there is no problem per se about cultures, but when the culture tends to overfeed your ego, such that now it dethrones even reason, it gets to a level whereby you feel like you should be sort of a demigod, then now that is going to be a challenge.
True.
And you see, we are talking about 21st century man. And in this case, culture may not be the top of it. But let me look at another aspect where a man is supposed to provide. But because of our economy and everything,
Yes.
you lose your job. And now you have
True.
to depend on your wife to support the family as you are looking for something else also to support. At that point where your wife walks into the house with shopping and she's like, the house is not done, and you ask, I mean, what were you doing? What was happening? How do you think this man feels in that setup?
At that point, the ego is fed negatively, which means it is like the man is being diminished in terms of his powers. So the man feels that this one should not happen. And more so, when somebody outside goes forth to tell him that how can you sit at home to be fed with a woman?
But you see where the statement then should come out clearly is there's nothing wrong being fed. The
yeah.
food that was cooked, you
By
will
the way,
eat
there's
it. You are being
nothing wrong.
fed.
We started by mentioning that the environment feeds the ego positively or negatively.
Being fed is not wrong.
It is not wrong.
But now you see what happens is, I think the fact that your husband or your 21st century man is out of job, don't make him feel like he's useless. Don't make him feel like he's useless. In fact, the same question you could have asked in a different way. You see, if you found me seated on the chair and you say, honey, I would have preferred if maybe you would have helped me do out 1 or 2. He feels like, yes, I see I'm still relevant. You actually know. In fact, a brilliant lady would look at the husband and would even try and help the husband to pick up pieces. Would make him still feel like you're in charge. I had a friend of mine who made it look very interesting, and he was putting it this way, and I think the 21st century ladies should also listen to this. She was saying that, you know what, for me, when my husband was out of job, what did I do? I just decided that I want him to still feel like he's in charge. So when I am going to do shopping, we consult. When I am doing this, we consult. So I don't make him look like he doesn't have money. And you see, as that happens, he gradually also sees like, I'm still needed to be active. So what am I now bringing to the table? You get him from off the chair to be an active man.
Then assume you are in a bus or a matatu, and the man doesn't have any coin in his pocket, and you are supposed to pay bus fare.
Yes.
And you've seen that if this lady pays it, or you've seen that if my husband sees that I'm going to pay, it is like these people are going to see me in a different way. What you do, the 21st century lady, just remove that money from your pocket.
Put in his hand.
Put it in his hand. Give it
And
to
let him pay.
And
Tell him to pay it.
But
I would also
I
want to
think at
think
that
about
point,
it.
I'm just interjecting you, but allowing you that when you're given that money to pay, make some effort next time to be able to have a way. Because you see, the thing is, the woman has covered your nakedness. Don't continually walk without anything. Try and always look like, it's not like constantly you will be covered. We don't want lazy men.
How long will I be paying for your fare?
Yes.
You need to think. I mean, it's a fragile thing to even talk about. And then in reality, it's even deeper than what we are talking about, because there are circumstances. You see, in a house setup, the circumstances where your ego will be mistakenly bruised are many.
Mistakenly bruised.
Yeah, I really never intended to bruise your ego, but you know, the way I've mentioned it, because you see, men are wired differently. The women are wired differently. My wife will not mince her
Brother
words.
Andrew.
Women are open.
Brother Andrew.
Exactly.
Let me make this
They
thing
will
clear.
say as it is.
Let me make this thing clear to Dave for him
Yes.
now to talk.
Yes.
Let us simplify this idea of the ego
Yes.
and give him the word it deserves. At the end of the day, you'll find that the ego itself is all about I. You cannot deny that fact.
That's true.
That is true.
Very true.
So at what point will the I factor in you be bruised?
Now let me continue before I was rudely but intellectually interrupted.
Before you intellectually interrupted.
Before my ego is bruised. You see, what I'm saying is, there is what I expect. Now I was talking about being wired. There are statements, if you mention to me as a man, fellow man, I will not feel it.
True.
There are statements that if my wife makes, I feel like there is something behind that statement.
Let me tell you, there are moments I have dressed to go to work. And my wife says something that looks harmless. But that shirt is not matching with the trouser. I've found myself going back to remove it. I don't care whether it is color blocking, whether it is color, I don't care anything else. The fact that she said it is not matching. Then she asked me, but I didn't mean so much. No. I have already been affected.
Yeah,
and the whole day I may walk thinking like I am a clown.
That is why I was telling you that there are some times that your ego is mistakenly, your I is mistakenly bruised. But there are toxic, toxic what? When someone is being toxic and just bringing you down,
There's
that
toxicity
I in you is just
which is
brought
just
down. Whether you try to
intentional.
rise up, it is just brought down. You go as far as going into the kitchen to prepare that meal that you think you've prepared the best, but there is that I that will just be brought down. There is too much salt. Even if there was too much salt, you know what I do, my friend? I'll ask for water.
Yes.
I'll take the first spoon and be like, may I have some water? And then I will have communicated. But
I get you.
what is this? Do you think I'll cook next time?
You
I'll
won't.
not.
You won't.
I go and go do the laundry and then go hang the clothes, then realize that there is a specific pattern how I'm supposed to be hanging the clothes. I put the trousers on one line and put the shirts on one line. I pick, whatever I pick is what I hang. And then she'll be like, I mean, what is this?
What school did some people go to?
No, my friend, at the end of
How
the
did
day...
they learn to put clothes like this?
Exactly, I don't remember. I'm not that, my memory is very good. I don't remember that. So what I'm saying is...
I want to believe she has not done to you that.
Which one?
You.
Which one? I've
Don't
mentioned
confess
two
on
things.
set. You said so many things. But I'm getting your point.
But you
that
learn.
when we're talking about this ego thing, there is also something about tact. The Bible says, and I like the part where when you look at the wise man Solomon in Proverbs, he says a soft answer
Yes.
turns away wrath.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now you see that soft answer means package your words nicely.
Exactly.
In fact, when you even read, the Bible continues to say that fitly spoken words.
Add volume to that.
No, fitly. The Bible will say a word in season.
Yes.
I wish you brought it in my
When?
mother tongue.
But you see, what this basically gives us is, it's not that men are saying don't correct us. Men are saying we are fallible. We can make mistakes.
We are
Yes.
human.
But let me tell you, you don't have to put up a billboard just because I did not put my shoes at the door.
You don't need to come up with an axe just because
No.
I've done something wrong. You found my socks in a. Which type of a man are you? You put things. No.
No. Be polite. In fact, somebody said you don't have to use a mallet to kill a mosquito.
Yes.
When Motain Doom can do the good work. Because you may end up breaking everything in the house, beating a mosquito with a
Especially
mallet.
if this mosquito lands on you.
If it lands on you and you're using
You
a
don't use
mallet,
the mallet.
you don't.
Exactly.
And that is where we are getting to. We are saying the 21st century man is not going to be so fragile that he can't be corrected. But let us be sensitive.
Yes.
But Andrew, there are egos that are very fragile that you can't even utter a word. They are so fragile in the sense that if you just mention, or if you look like, you look in a manner likely to suggest that you want to say something different from what he's thinking, then you're dropping a bombshell. They are so fragile, my friend. It's like
That
you're
was
living...
for us when 21st century man.
Yes. I'm talking about the
21st century man
Very
with a fragile ego.
Yes.
An ego that is like an egg.
Yes.
You are about to make a statement and you've just broken the ego. And how do we get about this? It's getting hot. We may need to take a break. As we talk about the fragile ego, we need to really speak on that. After the break, I'll want to hear you on the fragile ego, because this is the 21st century man, a show that is meant to just speak real issues to men.
Thank you.
21st century man from his perspective.
Hello children, I have great news for you. A brand new season of Bible Treasure Quest is coming soon. Do you know why you believe what you believe? There are things about our faith that are important for us to understand as children. Watch this brand new season and learn more through quizzes, games, stories, and songs. Don't miss out!
21st century man from his perspective.
Welcome back, dear viewer. It's a good show. And we're just talking about the 21st century man and his ego. And by the time we were breaking up, we were talking about a fragile ego. Here is a 21st century man. You even just make a small comment, he's going to commit suicide. He's walking, you cannot be able to, and you know, we're alluding even to the fact that people have spoken badly to you and all that. But don't you expect men to be men of steel? Men who can be able to have some substance.
I'm looking
even
at two
as
things.
we are talking about the ego.
I'm
But
looking
can
at
we
two
have
things.
egg-shelled egos?
I'm looking at two things, which brings the ego to be fragile. Number one is the upbringing. Number two is the culture. This point where we are talking about the fragile ego, we can now not omit the culture. And it comes in so much. Why do I say so? If I saw my dad, the way he was behaving with my mom, and my mom comes to my dad as though she's headed towards a police station. No joke. You come or you go to the police station when you're humble, lest you be thrown into the cell. I want my wife to behave like that.
Exactly.
So the moment my wife doesn't behave like that, he interferes with this fragile ego which I picked from my dad.
And you see, even the way he's expressing it, you know, he interferes. This guy
That is what I'm trying to put across.
But I'm also wondering over here. Then why did you marry the daughter of someone?
It is not about marrying the daughter of someone.
If your mother is the one who could humble and come down like that,
Chief,
then you should have. You should
No,
have
it is not
stayed with
my
your mother.
mom who
Chief.
came down like that.
Yes.
It is my dad who made my mom to come down.
So you want to make your wife to calm down?
That is how some of the fragile egos happen.
Listen,
That's
Chief,
a very fragile
listen,
ego.
Ego, and the explanation he's trying to give, that is what he knows. That is what he understands, because that is what he has seen all his life. And so as he's growing up, it is part of him.
But you see, where the problem comes is when you come with such a lordly ego, you even get to work and you think that we should laud you at work.
By the
Exactly.
way,
You think when you arrive in the office,
By the way.
every other lady in the office should be bowing down.
Exactly.
By the way,
And that is a
I
Haman.
said two
Have you read in
things.
the Bible about Haman?
I say two things, just relax first. The other one was about the upbringing. That these people, we call them mommy's boys. You see? They are held with the, is it hands
Soft
with the
gloves.
soft gloves. So the way your mom has handled you,
Pampered.
you leave your house, go and get somebody's daughter and start living together. You expect that same hand to be the one which is handling you. And you find a daughter from somewhere who was raised up to be a soldier.
Like the police station you're talking about.
Yes, a soldier. This time round, she has removed the gloves. And she wants things to be straight. Your ego will be interfered with. You'll feel as though this person is abusing you, even when this person is not abusing you. Because it was made to be so fragile. It was handled so softly, like an egg. So softly. So when you get somebody who wants to handle you with a lot of force,
Then let us
you
define,
tend to resist.
Let us define the real man and his real ego. You know why I'm saying that? You see, I was bringing the aspect of Haman in the book of Esther.
Yes.
Haman just got mad that Mordecai refused to bow. And there are men who are getting mad because their ego is not being fed in the way they want it to be fed. And we have people who have a very bloated ego, such that you are going to look at everyone else if they don't do the things that you want. And that's why right now we have people committing suicide. Why?
Before we get there, there's something about Haman and even the people around us. Your boss, or you're the boss, he feels that everyone else should bow. You know, there are these people who cannot take advice. There's something that happened to me, gentlemen. My wife was advising me against something. And I went ahead and did it. It was like an egg on my face. Then you know
I
what she
don't know
told
why.
me?
I don't know why.
Just listen. You know what she
That
told
is
me?
strange.
You know what she told me? I told you.
No, you're not the first one to be told
I
that.
told you.
You are not the first one to hear that, my brother. And I don't know, but every other 21st century man listening to this, in fact, there's a sermon I titled, Listen to Your Wife. Because I don't know. There's just something your wife tells you, where you're going to interfere. Where you're going to interfere with yourself. Then you proceed there. Then things become bad. Then you're told, yes.
I told you.
I told you. How does it feel when you're told, I told you?
It's a lesson that you'll never ever forget.
Which
He has
means
not shared his experience, but I believe
I wouldn't wish
He
to
has
share
one.
that, but I have another experience. You know Josephine,
Yes.
the producer.
Yes.
I came late for production,
Yes.
and she met me and started quarreling me, and told me how I've messed her up. You know, as a man in the 21st century, I should have gotten hold of her and squeezed her somewhere and told her, why are you joking with my ego as a man? How can you quarrel me? But I went down a little bit.
I witnessed.
And you witnessed.
I witnessed.
And something told me, Solomon, say sorry. And the moment I said sorry,
yes,
she called me back.
that's a magic word. That's a magic word.
The 21st
gentlemen.
century man with his ego must learn English. He must learn to simply say sorry. It's not, listen, it's not going to break us up.
Yes.
When I am wrong, I'm wrong. Let me tell you, there's a day I was at work and I was working, I'm an engineer by profession. So as I was working, I was with a team of juniors at Tachis, and I was taking them through work, and I was on call with some friend of mine. And then I gave a wrong instruction. And when I gave a wrong instruction, I realized I'd already picked everything. Then I told them, oh, sorry, we've done the wrong configuration. The friend of mine who was on the other side was shocked that I just said sorry to my juniors because I did the wrong configuration. But you see, when I reflected on that, I told myself, wow, I could be a serious man if I learned to say sorry more when I mess up. Understanding that we are not like the laws of the Medes and the Persians who are infallible. They cannot make a mistake.
Sealed, it is sealed.
When I seal it, I've sealed it.
Yes.
And that is what is injuring the male ego in the 21st century.
You may not be able to say sorry because it's a process. Because saying sorry is, you know, going down and accepting that this is what I've done. But there's also something that is, maybe sorry is at another level. There's another thing that is free and it's charged at 0 cents, listening. Yes, listening. Had I listened to her when she told me don't go this direction, I would be like, yes, we've done it. But because I never listened,
I wish I knew.
I wish I knew comes. So it is important that even as we are now trying to make the 21st century man to be responsible, it is important to listen.
In simple terms, he's saying that the ones whom we have at home,
Yes.
the ones who are at our workplaces, are
Yes.
also human beings.
Oh, yes.
They deserve
Oh,
being
yes.
treated in the best way possible. Just
Yes.
coming forth and telling your junior, I am sorry for this, adds value.
Yes.
It adds value to your character. It adds value to who you are. One day, somebody might go and just give a story of what you did. That so and so, Pastor so and so annoyed me, but he came back and gave or told me sorry. The one whom is telling this word may be your superior. Tomorrow you are found in an interview hall. That word, sorry, which you gave that old mama who is your junior, is enough to give you promotion. You decided to understand and lower your ego, to accept the situation the way it is.
You're almost saying something here. I don't know why you are circumventing it. You're almost making it look like the 21st century man must be able to control his ego in the right way.
Yes.
There comes a time when you have to step it down. There comes a time when we don't need you to be insecure, have a pathetic ego.
Yes.
But there's a time, so you avoid going so high to the level of arrogance, and you avoid going so low to the level of insecurity. In fact, you're listening, I wanted to buttress it with a text. In the book of James, chapter 1, verses 19, it says, "Wherefore, my beloved, let every man be swift to hear." I don't know. I'm not going to try and get into the Greek and all that pastors love. But look, it says, "Let every man." This is not even woman. I don't want to go whether they were speaking to everyone, but they say, "Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Too many of us as men, we are not slow to speak. You feel like you know it all.
Yes.
You cannot be advised by anyone. We are not slow to anger. A small thing and you've hit the roof. The 21st century man must get to a point whereby he can be able to consider this, because the ego is actually fed by this. When I'm not properly listening, somebody said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that you can listen twice. You can hear twice
And
before
talk
you
once.
speak once.
But add this to it. Tell the 21st century man that we are giving birth to the 22nd century people who will be in existence when we'll be gone. If it is us who are behaving in this manner, what will the 22nd century man do?
Whoa.
It will be worse.
Disaster.
So if we cannot learn the way you put it, I like that analogy. We have 2 ears, still listen twice. You have 1 mouth, speak once, understand the way it goes. So if we cannot do that now, the 22nd century man is learning a wrong lesson.
Dave,
You see,
you're going to give me a statement on this one. Where is there hope for the 21st century man whose ego has been just destroyed by things?
there's
Is
nothing,
there hope?
there's nothing as good as being asked a question that you already have the answer.
Wow.
Or rather, what I really wanted to talk about
Yes.
is what you're asking me. You see, when you're talking about learning to adjust and to readjust, I was looking at an equalizer.
Yes.
Or a mixer, a
Yes.
studio mixer, where you have the treble, all those.
Yes.
Then you realize that this is high, the pitch is high, you have to reduce it. Then you increase the bass. You know, you cannot do that.
True.
No, you cannot do that. There is only one person who can do it, and
Tell
that is
us.
Christ.
Amen.
Yeah, that is Christ. He will soak you in his love. He will soak you in his peace. That, you see, what he will give you peace that surpasseth understanding. Sometimes
I wish
things
you
happen in my
see-
house. Sometimes things happen in my house and I'm like, why it's not for Jesus? I would have reacted differently.
If it had not been for God who was on our
I
side.
only wish you say that if you can be soaked in the blood. There is power, wonder-working power in the blood
There
of
is
the
a
Lord.
fountain.
I'm telling you, there are things that
Wow.
happen to you
Yes.
that you even ask yourself, was that me? If Christ would have been out even for a millisecond or a microsecond, then you would have reacted differently.
That
is true.
Let me use what he has failed to quote in this show, and he always quotes every time. Paul,
Of
the
Tarsus.
man of Tarsus.
Yes.
Look at him with his ego before
Yes.
he is bathed in the blood of
Yes.
Jesus. He's
Yes.
called Saul.
Saul.
And he's destroying everyone who comes in his way and stops him. But when he has Jesus, he's softened to the level whereby the man
Don't
of Tarsus
say he's
even
softened.
Oh.
His ego is equalized.
is equalized. Oh, let's get back to the mixer. His ego is equalized. And you know, those who equalize these things,
Yes.
they are not on camera. They're not on the screen.
No.
They are behind the screen.
Yes, they cannot be
and
seen.
Jesus is saying, I don't want to adjust your volume when we are in public. I can do it from behind the scenes.
That is
and
why
let
the other
him
man,
do it.
the other man, David, he says it. Create
in me,
In me.
a new
a
heart.
clean heart.
Because he knows that the only person who can do it
Yes.
is God himself.
Wow.
So the man who can equalize, the man who can put the bass, the treble, the soprano and everything to be at a certain level, the way you say it, is God.
That is why you get to someone's house and you're wondering, what is Dave doing in the kitchen and the wife is here with the guests? You come to my house and
So the Lord has equalized you.
I mean,
Equalized.
let me tell you something. Huh? Let me tell you something, my brother.
After the equalizer, you will shock us with your...
There are things that you do, they have their results immediately. Yeah. I go to the kitchen, I tell my wife, sit down. I want to prepare a meal for my guests.
I know what you're going to prepare.
My guests
That
come.
is only rice.
But it's prepared.
Come on,
But
come on.
it's
I'm not
prepared.
like you. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, you cannot prepare chapati. The best you can do is rice, period. So don't boast of preparing rice, bwana.
Okay, Pastor Solomon, I'm officially inviting you, your wife, and your kids to my place on a date that you will choose, and I will be preparing as you want.
On live TV.
So what I wanted to say is,
Yes.
there's something that comes that adds on to what you already have. The good ego of yours.
Yes.
When the food is appreciated by not just your wife, but even your children, when the food is appreciated, or whatever little effort that you did that looks like or
You're
is
talking of
perceived.
appreciation. Is it only food? Does it mean even
That
if
is
you
what-
pay fees?
That is what I'm
and
saying.
it is appreciated.
That even the other little effort, I'm talking about little effort because fee is your responsibility. Whatever little effort that you do in this house that everyone else is like, wow, daddy is doing this, is appreciated. And what happens to that? It adds positively to you as a man. So no one will dare tell you, be a man. And it brings you down because already you are a man.
When the great equalizer gets to the point of equalizing your ego, he says you will do things that will make you be appreciated and your ego will be bolstered.
Exactly.
Wow. Give us your parting shot.
I must tell Jesus all my troubles. He is a true and compassionate friend. If I but ask him, he will deliver.
Wow. Wow. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. and before I allow you to say your parting shot, let me just tell you something. I'm beginning to appreciate what I had a preacher friend of mine say, that when you are in an argument with your wife, don't adjust your volume. Improve the quality of your argument. And the thing is equalizer. Improve the quality. When now you're talking, you're talking to a human being. You're not talking down to a servant. Give us your parting shot.
The 21st century man is meeting a lot. And if we are able to sort out this ego thing, then we are sorting out a lot about the 21st century man. The society, our upbringing determines a lot. But there is something important that we need to understand. That however much your ego has gone, there is still a way that you can come back. We can have more of these conversations and share. You see, I can live in my house for 10 years and never visit him. But I'll never learn. If I don't visit other people, I'll never learn. So this is how this thing happens. But remember, what is practiced in my house may not work for you. The most important thing here, surrender everything to the great equalizer, that is Jesus Christ.
So as we come like that, if our ego interferes with that to an extent that we become this arrogant, I repeat, the 22nd century man, no, 24th century man, we are in the
21st.
22nd century man will be an endangered species.
Exactly. So we have a responsibility.
We have a responsibility to make it now.
Wow, wow. In fact, this is the point where I say, as the Bible will say, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?
Yes.
But now we are asking, shall he find men on the earth? Will he be able to find some men? And we are saying that there is hope for the 21st century man when he clasps his hands into the hands of the divine equalizer, as we put it. If you are bathed in the blood of Jesus, if you allow yourself to be guided as the 21st century man, you're going to get to a point where we are going to say it was good to have a man in the 21st century.
Amen.
And that's why I'm just appealing to all of us. You don't need to break a bone over who is right. The 21st century man is not going to fight over who is right in the house. He's going to be obsessed with what is righteous, what is the right thing to do, not who is right. And when we do that, I think the aspect of our ego, our self-esteem, will no longer be a problem for the 21st century man. Thank you very much for having joined us today as we were handling the 21st century man and his ego. In our next episode, we'll be talking about love. We just can't talk about ego. We need to talk about love. So we'll be talking about the 21st century man as a companion. May God bless you.